From Tampa Bay's #1 news station, this is the Fox 13 4 o'clock news.
All right, well, this could be adding to your stress or taking away from it, depending on how you approach it. It's the season for office holiday parties. Yeah, and it should be fun. It's a fun time of year to get together with your friends and coworkers, but don't want to be a buzzkill here, but you have to look at these things. It could also lead to some liability issues. So let's bring in attorney Jim Giardina with the Consumer Rights Law Group. He joins us every Monday, almost every Monday, with a very interesting topic. So let's talk about the employer first, the person, the company that is throwing this office holiday party. What do they need to kind of watch out for?
Well, you know, when I think of employers and office parties, as a lawyer, three things come to mind, right? The first is going to be wage and hour laws, right? Labor laws.
Okay.
The second is going to be alcohol consumption, and then the third thing is going to be sexual harassment, right?
Okay.
With wage and hour laws, you can have your party two ways. You can either have the employees on the clock or you can have it with the employees off the clock. Now, if you have it with the employees on the clock, in other words, if it's a mandatory party, you have to pay your employees. If you want to tell your employees you must come to this party, then you have to pay them, right?
There's nothing better than a party you're forced to come to, right?
Well, you know, you're breaking federal and state laws if an employer does that, right? And now off the clock, there's also benefits to having the party off the clock. That's how I would advise an employer to have their party off the clock.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. You know, at the office, you know, when you're being paid, you're subject to all the employees' policies, right? These are policies for attendance, policies for tardiness, policies for dress code.
Right.
And if you're not enforcing those when you're forcing people to be at work, you could be, you know, let's say accused of selective enforcement, right?
Sure.
And then when it comes to alcohol, that's a whole nother issue, right? You don't want your employees getting toasted on the clock because when your employees are working, they're your agents, right? You are responsible for their actions. So you want the party off the clock. And when it comes to alcohol, just, you know, you want to be careful. You want to watch out for that, right?
Yeah.
We could get into that later if you'd like.
But moderation, just be smart with it. And,
sure.
Especially, I guess, if the company is footing the bill for the alcohol, or the bartender, or the venue that is serving the alcohol.
Absolutely, that's right. You know, if you have the party at a restaurant, for example, you're not any more responsible for what your employees are drinking than if you were just a guest at that restaurant, right? Now, think about sexual harassment, right? At the office, we've got our uniforms, we've got our office clothes, maybe we're at a cubicle or we're at our desk, right? But in a party environment, there's music, there's dancing, there's festive clothing, but there's also going to be mistletoe and there's going to be alcohol, right? As an employer, if you have an idea, even an inkling that there might be some kind of sexual harassment issue going on, you might be creating what's called a hostile work environment, which is going to put you in hot water. You don't want.
Maybe we should leave the mistletoe out of it. You know, that's probably a good approach to take.
Not a bad idea.
You know, just steer clear of that entirely. Does it make a difference, I wonder, for the employer or for the liability if, you know, spouses or dates are invited to the party? Are you more responsible for anything that could happen there?
It really doesn't. What really is going to matter is, are your employees on the clock? Are they your agent or are they not? Are you merely a social host, right? In Florida treats people like adults, sort of the way the law works, right? As far as social host liability, and we've talked about this before, you know, when you have a party at your house, you don't have a special responsibility to everybody, but you do have a normal responsibility to everybody.
To be a good host.
Yeah,
and be a
course.
smart host as well, and be considerate. What about other holiday parties that don't involve work, or other parties that don't involve work? If someone's throwing a holiday party at their house, per se, any other liability that comes along with that?
Well, you know, like we talked about at Thanksgiving, you just want to make sure that there's nothing that's going to hurt anybody. You know, my concern is going to be mostly with the children, right? Keep your medicine cabinets locked, keep the door to your pool locked, keep a gate around the pool. Maybe if you have a dog that you know is dangerous, tell your friends and family, tell your guests ahead of time.
Exactly.
I think the important thing is, you know, we're spending time. Christmas only comes once a year. We're spending time with people that we don't see all the time. Enjoy your time together and try to make the most of it.
That's great advice. A little common sense goes a long way, even at the holiday party. All right, Jim Giardina, always with some good stuff for us, Linda.
Thank you, gentlemen.